Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with something extremely exciting to check out. We've got ourselves a brand new Nanmu Smart Series release. This is the Carnotaurus, and of course, I'm going to be extremely excited about a Carnotaurus, especially a super articulated version. If we bring the Carnotaurus in and you get a look at the packaging, you can see the packaging looks pretty nice. You've got a beautiful image here on the front showing off. Obviously on this version would be more of the demon, aka what I once thought was the male, but now I'm not so sure as far as the Carnotaurus goes. But you can also see again that you've got the window area here showing off the Carnotaurus figure contained within, and then of course the Nanmu logo and everything, the Smart Series logo, all of that stuff. And then if we turn it around and take a look at the back, you basically have another sneak peek of the Carnotaurus itself back there. And then the same for the other variant here. And I like that they switched the packaging up a little bit. Before they were kind of giving us like almost a little bit cartoony as far as the, packaging art goes. Now they've more so taken on kind of like that serious, sort of classic Nanmu style where you just have fantastic artwork for the Carnotaurus, and I kind of like both, honestly. I was definitely a fan of the way that they packaged up the Velociraptor, but I am also a fan of the way that they've now packaged up the Carnotaurus as well. And then again, same thing here for the back. You could see another nice shot of the Carno back there. So let's pop these boxes open and check them out. So first of all, they do give you a stand. It's a very nice looking stand, and as you can also see, it does have articulation to it, so you can reposition it pretty much any way you would like to help your Carnotaurus stand. And then we have the Carnotaurus itself, and man, what a beauty that is. That is an absolutely gorgeous Carnotaurus. Definitely, I would say, straight out of the gate, the most high quality super articulated Carnotaurus that I have in my collection. Definitely also some of the nicest paint apps that I've seen on any sort of Jurassic World style Carnotaurus. Let me go ahead and reposition the legs a little bit so we can kind of get this one in a position where it can stand. So there we go, our Carnotaurus is standing. And then of course we also have the other version, the more demon Carnotaurus version, which honestly looks, I would say, equally as gorgeous as the brown version, what I would have once said was a female version. But I am a little confused because I've heard people state that maybe these are the males, so I really don't know exactly. But what I do know is that both of these Carnotaurus, when they would focus on them, there we go, both look absolutely incredible. So let's jump to a closer look and we'll check them out further from there. So starting with the brown version, you can see straight away that that head sculpt is absolutely fantastic and definitely looks like the Carnotaurus from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and Jurassic World Dominion, and of course Camp Cretaceous. It absolutely has that beautiful Jurassic World Carnotaurus look and appearance to it. I feel like they've even captured the way that the scales and skin texture looks very nicely. On top of that, you can also see there is a lot of variation of color here in the face for the Carnotaurus. You've got some reddish browns, you've got a good bit of black again that runs up and over the snout, down along the jawline, and then up into the eye, and then back around up into the horns as well of the Carnotaurus. You also have some lighter tones, which you can see in the palate and in the eye socket and even back here. And then you also have some other variation of color here on the lower jaw. They've done a very good job of highlighting the scale detail and everything here on the lower jaw with that light tone that looks like maybe they've dry brushed it over to make that detail pop. But the paintwork here is super smooth, super naturalistic, and there's a good bit of it, which I absolutely love. You can see the eyes are also painted with a red, given a nice black pupil, and they have a gorgeous gloss coat on them, helping them to shine very realistically. Obviously, we've got an articulated jaw, as we would expect for a super articulated figure, and once you move inside the mouth, you can see the teeth are all sculpted individually. Same deal for the teeth on the lower jaw, and they have that very cool material that they've been using that almost kind of has a translucency to it, but not really. It just looks so realistic and genuine. I think that the teeth of Nanmu at this point have like surpassed everyone. I don't know if anybody can touch them as far as the realism goes of the teeth in their figures. They just look so lifelike, and you can see they also have a nice gloss coat to them, helping them shine. And you've got some beautiful detail on the inside of the mouth. You can see the tongue and everything in there, and then the detail for the back of the mouth, even the upper side. Wow, that's incredible. The inside of the mouth and the upper side That looks fantastic. We also have a pinkish tone with a reddish wash, helping to add variation of color to the inside of the mouth. And again, that nice gloss coat, that nice satin shine in there, helping everything to look very saliva-like, which is also a nice dose of realism. And as you can see, that jaw works really nicely. You can get it open pretty wide, and you can pretty much set it to wherever you want, and then of course close it. But as you move up into the top of the head, you can see the skin texture looks really good, really vibrant, definitely pops. You can also see some slight variation of color up there on the top of the head with like some really light hints of browns up there. The horns also look really good. You can see the detail within those looks very, very nice. As we move back into the neck of the Carnotaurus, we have the brownish tones again, kind of a mixture of like a chocolate brown, and then some areas have like a slight reddish brown tint to them as you move back through the course of the Carnotaurus. And you can also see that we've got some patterning moving through as you have a black, and the patterning looks super smooth, like it is by no means overbearing. It's incredibly natural when it comes to the application of that, just kind of blending with the body so nicely. And obviously as you move down, you've got more really nice skin texture. You've got all sorts of kind of like bumpy ridges moving over the top of the Carnotaurus. You usually see, Carnotaurus featuring quite a bit as far as osteoderms go, and you do see that as you move down through the course of the neck and everything here for the Carno. As you move along the underside of the neck and throat, you can also see again a light tone down here as well. And obviously we've got quite a few articulated joints as we move down. So first of all, we've got one right here which goes up, down, left, and right, and then you've got another one right here which does all of those same things, and then another one right here, again doing pretty much all of those same things. And that allows some nice mobility in the neck, which you can see. Very, very smooth left and right turns for the head and neck of the Carnotaurus. It can also go up and down as well, so you have really nice mobility overall when it comes to the neck of the Carnotaurus, definitely helping to, again, create some pretty cool poses and displays for the Carnotaurus. You can see, again, how the head and neck turns very nicely. I could probably get it to go further than that, but I don't really want to pop the joints out or anything. As we move back into the body, again, the scale detail looks absolutely phenomenal. You can see, as always, Nanmu puts their all into the sculpts of their dinosaurs. The scale detail is incredible here in the body. You've got so much variation to the sizes of the scales moving through. And again, you've got the osteoderms following along the course of the back, one row here, and then of course those ridges following along the spinal column. When you look at it from up above, you've got that black tone pretty much overtaking the back, although you can see some of the browns kind of popping through. But then you move down and you can see how the brown kind of overtakes the body and the black starts to break up, but you can still see some of the black tones showing up here and there as you move down. You can see, again, variation of color leading down into the arms of the Carnotaurus as well. And the arms do articulate. You can move them forward and back, even though they're super tiny. As you can see, they can completely swivel around if you would like, and they do actually move out away from the body, which you can see. So you've got a good bit as far as posability goes, even with those tiny Carnotaurus arms. As you move down, you can see we transition to a lighter tone of the underbelly, but they've still allowed that brown to kind of creep through, so they've basically dry brushed the detail out, and it looks really good, definitely helping to add variation of color and realism to the underside, but also helping to highlight the detail in that area. And then of course we've got another articulated joint here in the midsection for the Carnotaurus, which you can see can go left and right and up and down, give you kind of like an aerial view, obviously helping to create even more poses for the Carnotaurus. And then as we move back here, you continue to see that dark tone kind of striping down, and again kind of breaking up as we lead down here into the leg and the thigh specifically, although you can see some of the dark tones following all the way down. But the paintwork on this is so naturalistic, it's crazy impressive. Again, you've got more osteoderms and stuff as you lead down into the leg, more variation to the different types of scale detail you see down here, and more incredibly smooth paintwork as you move down through the course of the front here, like of the shin. You can see that the skin texture becomes a good bit more like fine, a little bit bigger as you move back actually into the calf, but you can see the muscle definition there, the bulging calf muscle, nice muscle definition as well of the thigh. And then you move down into the foot of the Carnotaurus. You've got some scoots moving down the front of the foot down into the toes. You can see that you've got like a black that outlines those scoots, and then also again some more reddish browns for the lower parts of the toes. You've got the nails painted with a nice glossy black, and then you move back, you can see the dew claw as well is painted. As far as the articulation of the legs goes, as you move through, you can move the leg forward and back really smoothly, like super smoothly, and then it also comes out away from the body, which you can see. You also have knee articulation, which may or may not be stiff because I haven't moved it yet. Yeah, it's a little stiff, but you can see you can get some nice bends in the knee, and you can stretch that leg out. I would think that these could probably swivel. Maybe not, actually. I'm not too sure. But the knee is really stiff right now because, again, I haven't moved it really at all. So maybe when I move it a little bit, that'll become a little bit more loosened up. You also have more articulation right here, which, as you can see, can go forward and back and definitely can swivel down here. And then you've got another spot of articulation down here, which obviously can go forward and back, and also can swivel just like the other areas. So the articulation of the legs also works really nicely. But as you move back here, you can see again some more nice wrinkling and everything as we lead up into the tail. Again, a bit of a different look to this type of skin texture of the underside compared to what we have up here. We obviously have more of those osteoderms moving back. You've got another spot of articulation right here, which can go left, right, and up, down. Not too much in the up and down motion, but definitely some nice left and right. And then you also have a spot right here, which can do all of those same things, as well as swivel, can go all over the place, which is nice. And then we move out through the length of the tail. Again, we've got the nice variations of browns. You've got some more of that black patterning out as you lead out there to the tip of the tail, which all looks really good. You have more of those ridges moving along the back of the tail as well. And again, the patterning is super smooth when it comes to the paintwork. And obviously, we're going to see pretty much the same thing here on the opposing side for the Carnotaurus as far as what we had seen on the first side. So that is far and away one of the absolute most beautiful Carnotaurus figures I've ever seen. And then we've also got the Demon Carnotaurus version. So here in the face, you can see that we've got, again, a black tone of color for a large amount of it, but you also have like some purplish tones showing up here in the palette, the eye socket, and then back here, which is really nice. But you can also see that we have the scars sculpted out and painted on this. Obviously painted with a light tannish tone, and I love the fact that they didn't just kind of paint those on like, alone. They actually sculpted them into the figure to make sure that it looks, very nice and screen accurate, which again shows you the lengths that Nanmu goes to make sure you have an awesome product. You can also see that the eye is painted with a green, which is really nice, and we have a nice black pupil. But also on top of that, when you move up here, you do have that chipped horn as well, which again is something that you do see on this Carnotaurus in Jurassic World. So very cool to have captured all of those aspects of the Carnotaurus. And again, the paintwork is extremely lifelike, just like we saw on the other version. As you move down, you can see a variation of color here as you get to like a lighter tone moving down. The sculpt for the rest of the figure, I would think, is going to be the same as far as the first version. I think the only real differences between the two would be the head. I don't think there is in the films or anything. I don't think there's any other variations to the sculpts as far as that goes. So basically, the rest should be the same, but the color is definitely going to be a bit different. Obviously, we can articulate the jaw. And what's cool, and I didn't really mention this, I think, with the first one, is the upper and lower jaws both articulate. You can see as I move them, they both open. So it helps to really give you quite the wide open visual for your Carnotaurus. And as you move into the mouth, you can see a mixture of pinks and reds, a bit darker as far as the tones of color go on this one compared to the other Carnotaurus. And what I like about this one is they've actually kind of applied like a little bit of red paint, it looks like, potentially to the teeth, kind of making it look like the inside of the mouth is slightly bloody. You can see again the teeth look a little cleaner on the lower jaw, but like up here kind of looks a little bloody, which I think is pretty cool because the male Carnotaurus, again I keep calling this one the male, I always have, but the darker Demon Carnotaurus version seemed to be pretty temperamental, I would say, and definitely had a fun time annihilating pretty much anything and everything that it comes in contact with. So I like the fact that it does have a little bit of kind of like a bloody look to the mouth. But as you move up here, you start to pick up a patterning moving down, and the patterning actually has some variation of color to it as well. If my camera would focus correctly on it, there you go. You can see like purplish tones, but you can also see like some light tones contained within as well. And you continue to see that as you move down. It's really quite obvious here when you hit the back area of the Carnotaurus, again, that there is variation of color up there, making sure that it looks super, super nice. We continue to have the dark tones moving down through the course of the majority of the upper side of the Carnotaurus, and then these kind of lighter tones here moving along the underside of the Carnotaurus. But again, just like the other one, where they basically allowed like some brownish tones here. Maybe this one was actually applied with a wash, but you can see again some variation of color with a little bit of a darker tone kind of creeping within the skin texture of the lighter tones of the underside. The lighter tone also extends higher up into the stomach on the demon version, but also smoothly transitions back to that very dark tone like a black or dark gray. And then you can also see the arms are sculpted nicely. And another thing I really like is that they actually didn't paint like nails or anything on the hands, and that is very nice because Carnotaurus did not actually have fingernails. So definitely a very good touch on the part of Nanmu. We continue to have that patterning moving down along the back of the Carnotaurus. As you move down, you can see again a very smooth transition to the coloration on the back of the thigh. And then we have the darker tones moving along the front of the thigh. Moving down, you do have more kind of reddish browns as you move down into the foot, kind of under the toes and stuff, and even on the back of the leg. And again, the scoots and everything are highlighted with that darker tone as you move down the front of the leg, and we again have the nails painted with a black. And then we move back up here into the tail, and we continue to have that lighter tone here for the underside of the Carnotaurus moving out, the darker tone for the upper side, and again that nice patterning the entire way out there through the tail. So it looks absolutely awesome. And obviously when you come to the other side of the Carnotaurus, you don't have those scars or injuries or anything over here. You've just got a really pretty visual here of its face. But of course it looks great from both sides, just like the other Carnotaurus did. So man, I'm so hyped for these Carnos. I'm so happy that they're finally here. If you have not ordered these yet, you definitely need to get on doing that. Also, another thing that I failed to mention just a moment ago is the fact that obviously I stated that we have this articulated joint right here, but as you move back into the tail is actually a wire tail, so you can, bend that tail and give yourself some really cool posability. Obviously, you can really bend that tail with a wire tail, and again, it looks really good, works really nicely, which is a huge plus, again, when it comes to the posability of these figures. But on top of that, I also wanted to show you guys the stand that is included. So obviously, you can see the stand has this really cool kind of like a grabber area here. You can close it and open it, so you can tighten it around the stomach of the Carnotaurus, which will definitely help it to stand, although mine are standing perfectly fine without the use of this stand. But again, in case you do have any balancing issues or standing issues with your Carnotaurus, I'm sure every figure is different, so you just never know. So they have included these stands, which will also help when it comes to more dynamic poses as well. But obviously you can swivel this, so you can see you can move this pretty much everywhere. And then you've got a nice little spot here, as well as a spot here, and then another spot here to help articulate and pose this in any way you want to help your Carnotaurus achieve whatever pose you want. And you can also see there are 3 different areas to actually insert this part of the stand into down there. So lots of possibilities as far as the way you can display your Carnotaurus, even more so, again, with the inclusion of this stand. As far as a size goes, for a length on the Carnotaurus, you're looking at about 12¼ inches, or around 31 centimeters. And in the position it's standing currently, about 4¾ inches, or around 12 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A Human Being next to our Nanmu Smart Series Carnotaurus. And you can see it's got a pretty decent size to it, pretty much the size range I expected it to be in. It's also, I think, pretty similar in size to the previous Velociraptor releases that we already have out. But for another size comparison, there is the Velociraptor that has previously released next to the Carnotaurus, and you can definitely see, obviously, the proportions are a bit different, since Carnotaurus looks a good bit different compared to a Velociraptor, but overall, they're kind of similar in size. I would say the Raptor is maybe a little bit longer, but the Carnotaurus is a bit thicker as far as the size goes. And then as far as previous Nanmu Carnotaurus go, here is the older version of the Carnotaurus. This was the very first version that they had released, and you can see that the newer Smart Series versions are very similar in size to the older Carnotaurus from Nanmu. And then we've also got the newer version of the Carnotaurus that had released prior to the Smart Series release. Obviously, that version of the Carnotaurus is just a little bit bigger than the Smart Series version. And then when it comes to Super Articulated Carnotaurus, I figure no comparison would be complete without including the Hammond Collection version of the Carno. Obviously, this is one that I customized to look like the Demon Carnotaurus. But obviously, also, you can see that the Mattel version is a good bit larger than the Nanmu version. But when it comes to the Hammond Collection version, straight off the shelf compared to the Nanmu version, I would definitely say the Nanmu version is a lot higher quality and more lifelike looking. We've also got a Mattel Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus next to the Nanmu Smart Series Carnotaurus. And then for a comparison with just a few other random Carnotaurus, we have the Collect Day version, which you can see is also very similar in size to the Nanmu version. We have the TNG version as well, which is significantly smaller than the Nanmu version. And then one final Carnotaurus comparison, we have the PNSO Carnotaurus next to the Nanmu Carnotaurus to again show you that the PNSO version is a little bit smaller than our Nanmu Carnotaurus, but they're not too far off as far as the size goes. So these brand new Nanmu Smart Series Super Articulated Carnotaurus are both absolutely gorgeous. I think they yet again knocked this figure out of the park, just like they did with the Velociraptor, and I'm loving the fact that Nanmu is continuing to release these Smart Series figures as well as releasing their statue type figures. So kind of pleasing everyone, you know, like if you don't like the articulated aspect of these, you've got the more standard kind of, non-articulated statue version. But if you want the fun of posing them, you can grab these incredible super articulated versions. I just love the fact that Nanmu is continuing to do that, with all of their releases. And obviously these Carnotaurus are excellent when it comes to Jurassic World style Carnotaurus. The articulation is really nice, really smooth, definitely works very nicely overall, helps to create some really cool poses and displays that you can put them into, and again, also is fun for dino toy photography. On top of that, the sculpts are excellent. I feel like they've absolutely nailed the likeness of the Carnotaurus, more so this time than they have any other time prior, especially when it comes to the head sculpt. I feel like they really pulled the head sculpt off when it comes to the Jurassic World version of a Carnotaurus perfectly this time. And on top of that, the skin texture and detailing throughout all look great as well. And we have fantastic paintwork for both. Again, the transitions are super smooth. Any amount of patterning on the figures is extremely naturally applied, really subtle and smooth on the figure. Again, nothing looks like paint on the figure. Everything looks like body color. There's really little slight variations of color, nice washes, nice dry brushing, all sorts of different techniques to help enhance the figure and its paint job. And of course, you have really nice bits of realism like the gloss coat on the eyes, and the realism on the inside of the mouth is honestly untouchable. Like, they both look incredible in every way. And you have, of course, two different versions, again, helping to really give you an amazing set of Carnotaurus. So, if you are interested in grabbing these and adding them to your collection, I will include a link in the description to where you can grab these from Lana Time Shop right now. So make sure you check that link, go grab both of these Carnotaurus, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.